Hello, welcome to Flow Rugby's The Mispass. This is episode 18. 18, not 17.
No, not 17.
I'm Adam Armstrong. I'm here with, as always, Alex Goff and the Mystic Mike, we're now calling him, sat in the corner.
You make one prediction and now all of a sudden the expectations are set top level.
Absolutely. You made a prediction and jinxed my team. So thanks for that, Mike.
Jinxed your team.
So we should get into that. We'll get into that in a second because it's been a tough week to be an Englishman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a little bit rough.
But loads of rugby, loads of international rugby. Lots to talk about. College stuff going on. Las Vegas Sevens this weekend. We haven't got enough time to talk about it all. But where do you want to start?
With Vegas having, hundreds of teams show up, it's kind of, well, what are we going to do, handicap everything? I'm interested just because, so I was at the Lindenwood tournament and
this was the high school invitational,
high school invitational, which was fun. Yeah. And we got this Lindenwood player who was just coming off injury or something. He wasn't going to be playing that weekend, so he did a lot of announcing for us. Ashley Harrop, who did a really nice job, and he was English. And he's like, took a little bit of time off to start watching the England game, and he turned it off. And he's like, they look like they don't even want to be there. And he was so disgusted. So, Were you disgusted too?
I mean, to be honest, you're talking about the men, right?
Yeah.
Which happened. But we forget, the women smashed them.
That's true.
And that's really what matters. So, as far as I'm concerned, actually, it was a great weekend to be an Englishman.
Yeah.
But no, we did lose in the under-20s as well, and the men's. But the men's. No, I did watch the men's. It was very disappointing. I think, as much as anything, I kind of disappointed for loads of reasons. One, because they didn't seem to have attacking structure or anything like that. But also because I'm really looking forward to the England-New Zealand game in November.
Right.
And I kind of wanted England to be unbeaten through that and to be people really be asking the questions like, who are the best team in the world? Yeah. And I think now it's very obvious. Well, it's not very obvious. I mean, New Zealand lost to Ireland not that long ago. Right. New Zealand nearly lost to Scotland in the autumn. But England just didn't look like a number one team in the world. Yeah. They just didn't. I mean, every team has a bad day, but New Zealand is so good at just grinding it out when they have a bad day. So I was disappointed from that point of view. Yeah. We're still going to win the Six Nations, so that's okay. What we have to do is beat Ireland and beat everyone else. So that's because everyone's going to lose once now. At least. Yeah. So,
well, let's talk about Scotland. They started badly, but then they go out and they beat France, and then they beat England the week after. So, and as you said, pushed New Zealand in the fall. So, is this a resurgence of Scotland? This isn't exactly the 1990, upset England to seal a Grand Slam, which was.
I don't think it's a resurgence. It's a new Scotland, right? Okay. Because Scotland of old played really boring rugby, and they were really just grind it out. Good set piece. If you played them at home, it'd be really bad weather and things. This was good weather that they played England on, but it's a new Scotland, and we've known that when we were talking about it in January when Mike made his at the time fairly crazy prediction, but we've known this for a while that Scotland are a good team. They've got Gregor Townsend as the coach now, and they've got some great players. And I was actually looking at the team sheet and thinking, how many of these players, if you put all those players together, like how many would actually England players would get in that team on current form? And I think it'd be a good mix. I mean, it was a travesty not many players from Scotland went on the Lions tour, really. So it's a new Scotland, which I think is really interesting, actually, because Scotland are going to play the USA soon, right?
Yes, exactly. So
in June.
And I grew up really liking to watch Scottish rugby. This was a million years ago, but they were a running team. And they had these, John Rutherford was a running fly half, and they centered around that, and Andy Irvine, all those guys, a million years ago. But then they changed. and watching them play the United States, those games always seem to be like these grind out and kind of violent games. There's a guy named Dan Anderson who played hooker for the USA and broke his ankle in the middle of a game playing against Scotland and was just staggering to his feet, trying to figure out what he was doing and realizing he'd broken his ankle when a Scottish player turned around and punched him in the face and knocked him out. So he was out twice. He was about to be taken off the field just to make sure we're going to knock you out. And the Scottish player only got a yellow card for punching him out. See, I hold on to these.
They were the days.
I hold on to these things. Yes.
When you could punch someone square in the face and get a yellow card for it.
Not to do.
Yeah. Take 10 minutes, calm down a little bit, come back on, you'll be fine.
But I mean, Gregor Townsend was the running fly half, and was one of the most exciting players in the game when he was playing. So to have him coach, and he's a good coach, and I think if they're enjoying what they're doing,
But I mean, and it's good to say at the time, like they were rubbish against Wales.
Yeah, they were
at the start of the tournament, and then they were good against France, but France had lost about 25 games on the bounce or something. And then they beat England, but on a bad day for England. But I think the game against the Eagles is going to be really interesting in the summer, because Scotland are going to come here probably in the top 4 or 5 in the world ranked. Yeah. Which suddenly becomes such a much bigger game for the Eagles than it would have been a couple of years ago, where they might have been a bit lower ranked than that. And the Eagles are going to be really tested because they can score tries from anywhere.
Yeah, you can't make those mistakes, and you can't have those down periods. I was talking to a couple of players from the Eagles. They played Brazil this weekend and beat them 43-16. You think, well, that's a pretty good score. But for about 35 minutes in the middle of that game, they scored 0 points, and it just the tenor of the game just went flat. And then suddenly they scored a try, and then it exploded again. They scored 3 in the last, 15 minutes or so. Yeah. But you can't do that against Scotland. You start big and you score a try or something, but if you go flat, they'll kill you.
Well, this is what they say about playing. You got to play 80 minutes of rugby, right? And
well, people think that's the end, but it's not the end. It's the middle.
Yeah, exactly. So you've got to play for the full 80 minutes. One thing I thought about Scotland was interesting was that their fitness. Like they right at the end. I mean, they're going to be pumped up at the end of that game, but they were as fit as England, who apparently are 40% fitter than they were 2 years ago. England. This is what Eddie Jones.
How is that in Paris? Eddie is telling us that.
Yeah, 40% fitter. So, I mean, that's based on some data, I'm sure. So Scotland are super, super fit now. How the Eagles will fare against that fitness when you've got like such professional players, trained now? A lot of the Eagles now are playing pro, or all playing pro now, especially with some in the MLR teams and things. But I think keeping at that intensity for 80 minutes is going to be a big ask.
And it's the weakest link on the team.
Right, exactly. You only need one person to be a bit blowing, and that's it.
Least fit 2 guys. Yeah. And one of them is in the middle of a 3 or 4 set line of defense, and he's just a little bit slow, staggered, gap, done. The Eagles won and moved down in the world rankings, by the way, because Uruguay moved up so far.
So what they're now 18?
They're now 18th, but more than that, better than that is that they've got distance between them, and 19 is Spain, but they're right behind Romania and Samoa. I mean, they could, they beat Uruguay. If they do that, they jump up pretty significantly.
Did Spain beat Romania like 2 weeks ago? I think they might have done. I think they did, or even last week in the Rugby Europe Championship. We'll have to find that out. But so there's a lot happening in the Rugby Europe Championship as well, which is the sort of Six Nations B kind of thing, which is interesting. But I wasn't joking so much at the start of a couple of minutes ago when I said the English women. Now, I was watching this on Flow Rugby on Friday, England-Scotland, and in fact we had the whole office watching it, which was really cool. Nice. But I was like amazed, because I haven't watched a full game of England for a while. I was amazed at how good they were. And the basic skills and the speed of that game was unbelievable. And Scotland aren't a terrible team, but they got beaten 40-something.
Yeah, 43-8.
43-8.
Yeah.
But it was a really cool, really good game. And one of the things about England men was that everyone's saying there was no attacking structure. Like, it just seemed like they didn't really know what to do, which is weird, having George Ford and Owen Farrell and these guys in there, and Jonathan Josephs, who are great attacking players. But they just didn't seem to know what they're doing. Whereas Scotland sort of had a game plan. They seemed to have an attacking structure. A lot of their tries just came from running through the middle of England. But if you look at, we've got a clip, I think, of the England women. I love this clip because it just shows like what a great attacking structure from the women. And they start off with a really strong scrum, which in women's rugby of old you wouldn't see as much years ago. But
they're really low. Look at that.
Really low. Comes out and nice, just like dummy runners. Get it wide to the outside, and then what I really like is that they get around the outside, they get quick ball, but then they work around the corner again. Right, so many teams keep coming back, and you just don't exhaust the pitch. So get around that corner, nice feet as well, not just taking contact, and then quick ball again, coming back, and again, 2 options off the 10 there. Mm-hmm. We even offloading in contact and making a fewer yards, pulling more players in. And then, again, dummy runners, holding people in the midfield. And then get it to the prop, who just storms through the middle.
Beautiful.
I think that's like just an awesome piece of attacking
That's
play.
really nice. And the work rate to get around that corner. And the
work rate to get around that. I mean, that was in the first 5 minutes,
nice.
So everyone's pumped up. Sure. But if you play like that against any team, you have that quick ball and you're getting, you're running hard and also using feet to get over that gain line and exhausting the pitch. Not many teams can do that.
Well, they play France next time, and France has given up 3 points in 3 games. They've shut out twice. Now I realize it was Italy, and Italy's not that super great, but 57-0 is still 57-0. They're pretty aggressive in contact. They've got some big bodies, but what has really impressed me is the fact that they don't give up on a single play. They shut out a pretty good Ireland team. So you've got a team that's given up 3 points in 3 games against a really good attacking England team. You would think they wouldn't give up a giant train-size hole for a prop to run through, but who knows? That's the game of the season right there.
That's gonna be. And when's that? Is that Friday or Saturday?
That is the 10th.
That's on the 10th because it's a week off now, right?
Yeah.
They have the middle weekend of the Six Nations, and they have a week off either side. So
that's the 10th in Grenoble.
What I thought was interesting too, another play from England, and Adam, we were watching it in the office, the line out where what were they doing? They were sitting there pointing at the Scotland team's face, right, like almost right on the nose.
I would love to get Phaedra's opinion on this. Yeah, so we got a clip of that.
Let's watch this here.
It's really fascinating. I saw this live and I was like, what are they doing? Scotland come into this line out and they're getting really, look at the front, getting really close. They're not even looking at the ball. They're not going to charge the ball.
No, I'm talking to you.
Oh
my God.
And how annoying is that? And then the ref comes in. It's like, okay, right.
Don't be annoying.
You got to have the gap, right? You got to have the gap. So it moves them a little bit. But then they're just back to the pointing.
She actually has no idea what to do about the pointing.
Yeah, she's right back in it almost.
I mean, you can't do it. There's nothing wrong with that. And watch. Over the top, and they win the line out.
They didn't even jump.
No, they were just so confused by what is going on. I would love to find out a bit more about that. They didn't do it every line out, which I would do.
The English do have a reputation of trying to get under your skin, right? And I coached a girl who captained the USA under-19 team, and they played against England. And she said that every time they packed down, the props in the England team would be so like, is she angry? Is she going to cry? There's this whole thing going the whole time, and it's just trying to get it, get in your head and stuff like that. And the player I was talking about, Megan Thompson, she thought it was funny.
Yeah.
Which is really the only way to deal with that is just like, what are you doing? What are you doing? It's so silly, but I don't know. That was fun.
The thing is, it is silly until you get a bit annoyed, and you do something, you drop a pass or you throw a bad pass or whatever, and then suddenly you get a little bit insecure and you get and then they can start getting under your skin.
Well, if they fail to lift anyone,
Yeah.
Right? There was no jump.
Yeah, I mean, that would be to perfection. They're just like confusing them.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, we also saw the Heat with, was it Owen Farrell on the men's
tunnel
side.
afterwards.
In the tunnel. That was pretty...
you know what? I have a theory about this, because you see he's sort of like pushing his way through. I think he needed to use the toilet.
That's would have been.
He's like, guys, just gotta...
Yeah.
Sorry, I just chugged a lot of Gatorade before the game, and just like not feeling it. Maybe that's why he wasn't playing that well.
Yeah, he was just...
Like a slap shot
get to the toilet.
You know, there's a slap shot moment where he says, you know, if I get hit one time, I'm going to piss myself.
No.
Slap shot. You know, well, okay, English. Slap. You have not seen slap.
No.
You have to see slap.
More education for me.
That is an insight into North American culture right there.
All right.
Slap shot.
I didn't get asked that in the citizen. Well, I haven't done the citizenship test yet. Maybe I will be.
Who is your favorite slapshot character?
Yeah.
Which is your favorite Hanson brother?
Yeah.
But Owen Farrell's like he's a hothead, and that's why he's a great player. He's super competitive.
Yeah.
There was nothing in that really, was it?
No.
Just like kind of running through the tunnel, and just trying to get past people, and
somebody decides to get annoyed.
Look, I mean, he's walking off the field, took a loss, and he's probably mad at himself, right? He didn't think he played up to his potential, and
that was before the game.
That was before.
Yeah, it was coming off after warm up. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I
so
thought it was
think
after.
he's trying
Maybe
to
he had a really crappy warm up,
Oh.
and he's just not feeling good about that.
or he's just like get it.
Or like when we have a really bad show prep, but then we have a really good show. Because that can
What prep? Prep.
Talking of prep, what else should we talk about? Well, let's just touch a bit on the Eagles again, because there was an interesting thing that our friend Grant Cole said on the Rugby Evangelist on his Facebook page this week, which was he'd watched the Houston game, the sort of Houston NOLA game, which was
the
first two MLR teams to play, which Houston won quite comfortably, but they've played 13 games and NOLA had 2 games and stuff, so can't read too much into it. But he was saying that the quality and the speed of that game was significantly higher than the international game, right? So I thought this is quite interesting. This is quite interesting.
Just me rolling my eyes.
Yeah,
rolling it.
Just rolling your body.
Grant, don't stop that.
But let's just think about this for a second, because I got thinking about it, and so if you talk to a player, they'll always say you step up to international duty and everything just happens so much faster than anything else, right? And of course, both those teams, as in the NOLA and Houston, have international players in them who've represented, be countries or sevens or whatever. But players always say that it's way faster at international level. But you've also got, as you were saying before, like you have very few holes that you're ever going to go through. Everything happens faster, but there's less space everywhere. So my sort of question is, to a player is international way faster, but to a viewer sometimes it can actually seem either slower or lower quality, because you're not seeing as much line breaks and you're not seeing as many things happening like that. Whereas, I just saw a couple of clips from the Houston game, and one was just a simple, like a switch with the 10 and the 13 or 12 and 13. And he basically went on them, I think it was Asaya Kilini-Sau, is it? Yeah. And he basically went on them for the pitch to score just straight through a massive hole in the middle. Right now, there was a big hole in the England defence for Hugh Jones to go through. But interesting thing, because then also you think about, like, I go back to England and the Premiership teams, and then there's the A-League, which is kind of their development side, and that league is always way faster than the first team. Right. But that's not saying it's better quality rugby. It's just that there's more space, and they're offloading more and stuff like that, because it means less.
And Grant, you should know this, but the battle in the breakdown is it's a war on international rugby. And the reason it's slower is because there are like 4 guys in there just going at it in that pile. That part of being faster is like everything happens faster. So if you're vulnerable for a split second and you get slammed, or you're not solid in the ruck just for a little bit, and somebody comes and just knocks you back. That's also the
and it's also, if like that England clip we saw, the women, when they're getting around the corner and they had great support and they were smashing into the rucks. But against France, like next week for the women, they're probably the French team will probably get their hands in that one of those rucks and slow the ball down. So you're not going to see now. It may not look as exciting and as high quality in attack because the defense is so much better. And
you look at that clip, and the ruck that they win to get it out to the prop to score is won by one player.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be against France. They're not going to need. They can't do it with one player. They need 2 or 3.
Right.
It's one of the things that I wish we were more like football, American football, with is that if a football fan watches a game that's like 9-6, he's still going to love it because that's like the defense and they were just slamming into each other. And we tend to be like, it's a bit dour.
But but here's the thing, right? In more developed rugby nations, is that the case? So a 3-3. Actually, I've been involved with sometimes in the past, and especially in the North England where the pitches are crap, or a 3-3 or a 6-6 or a 9-6 or whatever it is, where there's no tries, up in Newcastle or wherever. Those games actually, or England-Scotland games in the past, England-Scotland game is normally like that kind of game. Actually, people love because it's the battle of the scrum, it's the battle of the tight five, really. But to someone who doesn't know the game that well, it's hard to appreciate that. Like, I don't really appreciate American football games that are like really low scoring because I don't really know enough about the game.
You don't see the big plays.
What I want to see is like the big plays and the high scoring and stuff. So
and there are games that are low scoring in rugby because everyone's screwing up and dropping the ball, and then it's like, but they could be playing really well. I mean, you could look at some of the World Cup finals. 91 World Cup finals, 12-6, but it was a well played game. It wasn't like they failed to score because they didn't know what they were doing. It's just the defenses, everything was just so intense.
Yeah.
My brother, and one of my brothers is Andy, is a huge rugby fan, and we argue about this all the time. He thinks good rugby ended in about 1979, and he says the three-quarter play was just outstanding. And the way they moved the ball and the way they cut through the gaps, and he's absolutely right. And my argument is, but the defenses weren't good.
Defense was terrible.
Defense,
you look at the history of rugby, people just running through lines all over the place.
And these skinny little guys are going, and you look at the defensive line is staggered. And sure, Barry John sidesteps through a gap, but it's a gap that should never have been there. And so I don't know. I mean, I've just talked myself into a circle right now, but
Eddie Jones said at the weekend about the back row was criticised for England because they weren't. I mean, England were terrible on the floor. Like Scotland had them all day, and Eddie Jones said the days of it being the back row's job to be the main guys at the breakdown was 30 years ago. Now it's every player's job, and that's how rugby's evolved over time. But I think it's just a matter of, yes, it is more exciting rugby when it's 40 points and it's back and forth and it's something like the game at Houston at the weekend sounds like it was. Yes, of course, and that is better, and that's potentially that's what the MLR should be working towards, like trying to play a really fast brand of rugby. Because I heard that the goal, or Jeremy Turner, who's the president of Houston Sabercats, had said they're trying to aim for like the IPA championship level, so level 2 in England.
Okay, great.
Probably similar to like the Pro D2 in France. That's great, but the championship rugby in England, is it an exciting enough brand of rugby? I don't know if they maybe didn't mean that, but like, I think they should be aiming for more like the Premiership A-League brand of rugby, or even like maybe the Southern Hemisphere brand of rugby.
The old Super Rugby, when it was like you'd see games 64 to 50. That's fine. I mean, we're not arguing. We showed the PRP live on Flow Rugby. It was great, really fun, exciting, crowd pleasing. One of the games we showed was 30-29. They scored a try at the end to win the game. Fantastic. I'm not saying that those teams immediately turn around and are better than the Sabercats, and I'm certainly not saying they turn around and play the Eagles and would do the same thing. It's so physical, it's so intense, faster, harder, nastier on the international level that you can't compare it by observing.
No.
You have to talk to people who are in the middle of it. And quick story, Tom Billups used to play hooker for the United States, played for Harlequins, and he went off to go play for the USA against Uruguay. He comes back, and he's in the shower after training, so no clothes on, taking a shower. And
okay, I hope that's relevant to the story.
It is relevant to the story.
It's like, just to be clear, he's in the shower with no clothes on.
Tom's nakedness is very relevant. So a couple of players come in from Harvard, and they look at his bruised body, like head to toe bruised, and they're like, Tom, were you in a car accident? And he's like, no, I just played against Uruguay. And these are the professionals saying, whoa, that's intense.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's what it's like to play against Uruguay, is you're going to pay for everything.
Yeah.
And they're going to make you, I mean, they're going to stomp all over you. They're going to hit you hard, the eye gouges, the double knee to the back, all those fun things. It's going to happen. And it doesn't happen at the lower levels with quite the same intensity or frequency that it does in international rugby.
It's a good story.
Thank you.
I'm glad the nakedness ended
Nakedness is important.
Okay, so no international rugby this weekend. Have we got ARC or not?
We do have the ARC.
Yeah,
We're going to finish it up.
So they're on different schedule to Six Nations.
That's right.
Yeah.
They just go week.
Well. Yeah.
5 weeks in a row. It's pretty tough, right? So USA plays Uruguay. Uruguay's good.
Yeah, they're
very really good. They haven't lost a test match in a really long time. And as I said, they moved up ahead of the USA in rankings. So this is for a ranking spot, but it's also, if USA wins, they'll be the first team in the 3 years to win and go 5-0, get the Grand Slam.
Do they call it a Grand Slam?
They don't.
No.
They should maybe, but because the first two winners, the USA last year and before that Argentina, both of them tied a game.
Yeah.
So this will be the first whitewash.
So big weekend for that.
Yeah.
Big weekend for the Sevens as well. Vegas.
Yeah.
So USA not doing so well so far. Just Hamilton was the last one. They've had a break, but they're kind of coming in sort of mid-table.
Yeah.
Right? Is it like 7th or 8th?
Australia, Samoa, and in Spain in their pool. So that's a winnable pool. Although Australia's playing, I think, extremely well. And we've got the team was just announced. Kind of who you would expect, although a couple of young guys, Cody Melfi from Life University, a Schultz Award finalist, and Chris Matina from Delaware, who's been seen a little bit, is back in there, and Joe Schrader. So we've got 3 young guys. No Madison Hughes, he's hurt. Ben Pinkelman captains, he's a terrific captain. So I think they're a little bit like, I'll be interested to see if Cody Melfi gets some time, but I think they've got to figure out what to do at the halfback level. I don't think they have a dedicated halfback there, so maybe Falau moves to halfback.
Yeah.
Maybe Carlin Isles moves to halfback.
Just put Colin Isles at halfback. Catch and run.
Right.
That's it.
Exactly.
We know the talent's there. It's who's who's showing up. We know that they can play and they can compete with these teams. It just seems like either it's a knock on or some silly mistakes. Maybe somebody is out of position on defense and then opens up a hole, and then the chance of winning that game is gone. And it seems like there was previously in the tournament that would spiral. I think they're coming back, and I want to really see them do well at Vegas.
Surely they're gonna. I mean, home turf. They're gonna play well this weekend.
I mean, Samoa is the game to target. I think.
Yeah.
Spain they should beat. So Samoa, they should really target to take that. Go 2-1, then everyone gets excited, and the crowd gets behind them at that point. So
maybe we should have a little watch party with some samosas. Get the drinks flowing. Samoa with samosas.
You guys have a watch party. I'm gonna be out there. So
must be nice.
Yeah, look at you.
Although I'll be probably watching from a boardroom rather than in the stadium. But that should be fun. And we don't have a live, talking about life before, we don't have a live university game this weekend.
Right.
But we do have a St. Mary's game.
Big game. UC Davis, St. Mary's. So UC Davis wants to finish second in the conference now and get an invitation or a place in the D1A playoffs. They have to do well. They don't have to win it. They have to show well in this. But if they get blown out 90-0, then lump them in with all the other people get blown out 90-0. But big game for them. St. Mary's, they're getting ready to go to Italy.
They're going to Italy?
Yeah, going to Italy.
Why?
Spring tour.
Got to go spring break. Spring break tour to Italy. Go play some academy teams. And,
you said there's no money in rugby, eh?
Yeah, I know. It's not bad. You know,
that's all right.
George Hook sets them up. Irish rugby tours, and you know, that'll be good. St. Mary's just looks phenomenal. Really, really good.
Yeah.
They took apart that Glendale Academy team, and it was a good team. So.
Yeah, it's they're doing very well. And so that's Live and Flow Rugby on what, Saturday, I assume, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, March 3rd. And then on Thursday, we have the top 2 teams from the Pro D2.
Yeah, 2 and 3, actually.
2 and 3 now.
2 and 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mont-de-Marsan and Montalban.
Yeah.
Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah.
You're good at pronouncing stuff, even though I'm
Mont-de-Marsan. Yeah.
That was nice. Yeah. That was nice. So if you want to see what the MLR are trying to get to, then tune in to watch Pro D2. And I suppose we'll be back next week and can dissect the ARC and the sevens.
See if they get all the way to 5-0.
Yeah.
It's not going to be easy.
Yeah. Oh well. That's all we've got time for. So thanks for watching today, and we'll see you guys next week.